The drill bit screamed against the crystal wall deep inside the caves of Kepler 442b. Commander Jiwan wiped sweat from her forehead as she watched the mining team work. They had been digging for 3 weeks now, following strange energy readings that Dr. Minho detected from orbit. "Commander, you need to see this," called out Daehyun, the human engineer who had volunteered for the deep cave mission. His voice echoed strangely in the narrow tunnel they had carved through the purple crystals. Jiwan made her way through the cramped passage. The crystal formations here were different from anything they had seen before. They pulsed, with a faint, blue light that seemed to follow a rhythm like a heartbeat. The other alien crew members from different Federation species stayed far behind. Something about this place made them nervous. "What did you find?" Jiwan asked as she reached the end of the tunnel. Daehyun pointed his light ahead. The tunnel opened, into a massive cavern. But this was not a natural cave. The walls were smooth and curved, covered in the same pulsing crystals, and in the center of the space something enormous lay buried under layers of mineral growth. "By the void," whispered Dr. Minho as he caught up to them. "Jiwan, look at the size of that thing." The shape under the crystals was huge, bigger than their entire mining station above ground. It had the rough outline of some kind of creature, but covered in what looked like armor plating. Strange tubes and mechanical parts were visible through the crystal coating. "Is it alive?" Jiwan asked. Minho pulled out his scanner and pointed it at the buried form. The device beeped and flashed red warning lights. "The readings are incredible. There are biological signs, but also technology I've never seen before. It appears to be in some kind of suspended state." Behind them, the Zenthan crew member named Vorth made a choking sound. "Commander, we should leave this place immediately. My people have legends about creatures like this. Ancient weapons from the time before time." The other alien crew members nodded in agreement. Even looking at the scans made them shake with fear. But Daehyun stepped closer to the crystal-covered form. "Wait," he said. "Look at the crystal growth patterns. This thing has been here for millions of years. Maybe longer. It is not dangerous right now." "Not dangerous?" Vorth's voice went high with panic. "Human, you do not understand. My ancestors spoke of the old war. Bioweapons that could destroy entire star systems. This looks exactly like their descriptions." Jiwan studied the buried creature. The crystal formations around it were indeed ancient. The mineral layers showed countless years of slow growth. Whatever this thing was, it had been sleeping here since before any of their civilizations existed. "We need to report this to Federation Command," Minho said. "They will want to send a full research team, or a fleet of warships," Vorth muttered. Daehyun ignored the fearful alien and walked right up to the crystal wall covering the creature. The blue pulsing seemed to get stronger as he approached. "Look at this. The energy patterns are changing." "Daehyun, get away from there," Jiwan ordered. But the human engineer was fascinated. He placed his hand against the crystal surface. The moment his palm touched the mineral coating, the entire cavern lit up. The blue pulses became brighter and faster, and somewhere deep inside the crystal prison, something stirred. The alien crew members screamed and ran back toward the tunnel. Even Dr. Minho stepped backward, his scanner going crazy with readings. But Jiwan noticed something strange. The energy the creature was giving off affected the aliens badly. They were terrified just being near it. But Daehyun seemed completely unafraid. "Can you feel that?" Daehyun asked, his hand still pressed against the crystal. "It is not hostile. It feels lost." "What are you talking about?" Jiwan demanded. "This thing, whatever it is confused, scared, like it has been asleep for so long that it forgot who it was." The pulsing continued to grow stronger. Cracks began to appear in the crystal coating where Daehyun touched it. Ancient minerals that had taken millions of years to form started to break apart. "Daehyun, step back now," Jiwan ordered, drawing her weapon, but before anyone could move, a section of crystal fell away. Underneath was smooth, dark material that looked like both metal and living tissue. It was warm to the touch, and it moved. Slightly, like breathing. The fear emanating from the creature hit everyone in the cavern like a physical force. The alien crew members who had not already fled collapsed to their knees, overwhelmed by terror. Dr. Minho grabbed the tunnel wall to keep from falling. Even Jiwon felt waves of dread washing over her. Only Daehyun remained standing normally. He looked at the exposed section of the creature with curiosity instead of fear. "Commander," he said softly, "I think this thing is as scared as everyone else. It does not know where it is or what it is. The fear we are feeling, that is coming from the creature itself." More crystal continued to crack and fall away. The creature was waking up after eons of sleep. Its biotech systems were starting to function again, responding to the first contact it had experienced in millions of years. "We need to evacuate the cavern," Minho gasped, fighting against the waves of psychic terror. "If this thing fully awakens, it could be catastrophic." But Daehyun shook his head. "No. Look at it. Really look. This is not a monster. It is just lost and alone. It has been buried here so long that it forgot everything about itself, even its own name." The human engineer kept his hand pressed against the creature's hide. The ancient bioweapon continued to stir, its systems slowly coming online after countless years of dormancy. But instead of the rampage everyone expected, it seemed to be reaching out, searching for something it had lost long ago. "What do you think you are doing?" Jiwon asked. Daehyun looked back at her with a strange expression. "I think I am about to give something very old a reason to remember who it is supposed to be." The cavern filled with light as the creature's awakening accelerated, and the galaxy was about to change forever. 3 days passed since the discovery in the crystal cavern. The mining station buzzed with activity as Federation officials arrived from across the sector. Admiral Vexer commanded the response fleet from his flagship, orbiting above the planet. His orders were simple: study the creature for 1 week, then destroy it. Daehyun sat in the temporary research lab they had built near the cavern entrance. Dr. Minho worked at his computers, analyzing the data they had collected. The creature had not moved much since awakening, but its biosignatures grew stronger each day. "The neural pathways are incredible," Minho said, pointing at his screen. "This thing has a brain bigger than our entire station, but look at these patterns. Most of the neural activity seems random, like it is searching for something." "Searching for what?" asked Commander Jiwon as she entered the lab. "Memories, maybe. Or identity. The scans show massive gaps in its neural network, like someone erased huge sections of its mind." Daehyun looked up from the neural interface device he had been working on. "I want to try communicating with it directly." "Absolutely not," Jiwon said immediately. "Admiral Vexer already thinks we are taking too many risks. Direct neural contact with an unknown alien bioweapon is beyond dangerous. But Commander, what if it is not really a weapon? What if it was something else before?" Minho pulled up another scan on his screen. "Daehyun might be right. Look at these structures inside its body. Yes, there are weapon systems, but there are also what appear to be shield generators, medical systems, even what looks like habitat modules. This thing was not built just to destroy." The 3 humans studied the data while outside their lab. Alien crew members gave the research area a wide distance. The creature's psychic emanations still terrified most species. Only humans seemed able to work near it without being overwhelmed by fear. "I am going to try the neural link," Daehyun announced, picking up the interface headset. "Wait," Jiwon grabbed his arm. "Even if I allow this, which I have not decided yet, we need safety protocols. The moment something goes wrong, we cut the connection." "Agreed. But Commander, I have been thinking about what I felt down there. This creature is not evil. It is lost. Imagine waking up after millions of years with no memory of who you are, or why you exist." Minho nodded. "The psychological trauma would be enormous. Maybe that is why it projects fear. It is terrified itself." After 2 hours of preparation, they descended back into the cavern. More crystal had fallen away from the creature, revealing smooth biometallic skin that pulsed with inner light. The thing was beautiful in a strange way, like a sleeping giant from an ancient dream. Daehyun approached carefully, the neural interface device in his hands. The creature's emanations washed over him, but instead of fear, he felt something else: loneliness. Deep, crushing loneliness that had lasted for eons. "I can feel it reaching out," he said softly. "It knows we are here." He placed the neural interface against the creature's skin. The device activated immediately, creating a bridge between human and alien minds. The connection hit Daehyun like a tidal wave of emotion and fragmented memories. Images flashed through his consciousness. A war among the stars. Massive fleets, destroying planets. And this creature not as a mindless weapon, but as a guardian. It had protected something precious long ago. Entire civilizations had looked to it for safety. But then came the betrayal. Its creators, afraid of what they had made, tried to destroy it. They erased its memories, stole its purpose, and left it to die alone on this distant world. What do... "You see?" Minho asked, monitoring the neural readings. "Pain," Daehyun whispered, tears running down his face. "So much pain. It does not remember what it was protecting, but it remembers that it failed. It thinks it failed everyone who trusted it." The creature stirred, responding to the human's empathy. Its bioluminescent markings began to glow brighter, and the psychic emanations shifted. The overwhelming fear started to fade, replaced by something warmer. "The neural patterns are changing," Minho reported excitedly. "It is responding to emotional input. Daehyun, try projecting positive feelings." Daehyun focused on memories of home, Earth, family, the feeling of belonging somewhere and being needed. He pushed these emotions through the neural link, sharing them with the ancient being. The response was immediate. The creature's entire body began to glow softly. Its biosystems came online one by one, but not in an aggressive way. Instead, it seemed to be remembering how to function properly. "You were made to protect," Daehyun spoke aloud, knowing the creature could sense his thoughts. "You were built to guard what was precious, to keep people safe." Waves of recognition flowed back through the neural link. "Yes, that felt right. That felt like purpose. But you have no name," Daehyun continued. "They took that from you too. How can you protect anyone if you do not know who you are?" The creature's confusion was clear through the connection. It had existed for millions of years without identity, without purpose, without even a name to call itself. Daehyun made a decision that would change the galaxy. "I will give you a name," he said firmly. "From now on, you are Guardian. You are the Guardian, protector of those who need protection." The moment the name was spoken, everything changed. The creature's bioluminescent patterns exploded with light. Its psychic emanations transformed completely, from terror to something that felt like hope and determination. Ancient systems throughout its massive body activated, not for war, but for protection. "Guardian," the creature seemed to test the name through the neural link. "I am Guardian." "Yes," Daehyun smiled through his tears. "You are Guardian, and you are not alone anymore." Above ground, alarms began to sound as sensors detected the massive energy surge from the cavern. Admiral Vexor's fleet prepared for battle, thinking the creature was becoming hostile. But down in the crystal cave, something beautiful was happening. An ancient guardian was remembering its purpose, and the human who gave it a name was about to discover just how powerful that gift could. First, the galaxy was about to learn what it meant when humans decided to make friends with the impossible. 2 weeks had passed since Guardian received its name. The ancient creature had grown stronger each day, its biosystems adapting and upgrading themselves. Dr. Minho could barely keep up with the changes in his daily scans. "Look at this," Minho showed Commander Ji-won the latest readings. "Its cellular structure is rebuilding itself. Old damage from millions of years ago is healing, and these new growths here, they look like communication arrays." Ji-won studied the data while keeping one eye on the security monitors. Admiral Vexor had been sending increasingly angry messages demanding they destroy Guardian. The Federation Council was divided. Some wanted to study the creature, others wanted it eliminated immediately. "Where is Daehyun?" she asked. "Down in the cavern again. He spends most of his time there now." In the crystal cave below, Daehyun sat next to Guardian's massive form. The neural link had become easier to use over time. He could now communicate with the ancient being without the interface device. "How do you feel today?" he asked silently. "Stronger," came Guardian's response in his mind. "The name you gave me grows more real each day. I remember more about what I was meant to be." Guardian had been sharing fragments of its recovered memories. It had once protected entire star systems, working with organic crews who lived inside its habitat modules. It had been a mobile fortress, a shield against the darkness between stars. "Guardian," Daehyun said, "there may be trouble coming. The Federation is afraid of you. They want to destroy you before you become too powerful." "I would never harm those under my protection," Guardian replied, "but I sense your concern. There are hostile ships gathering in orbit." Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the mining station. Jiwon's voice echoed over the communication system. "All personnel to emergency stations. We have incoming hostiles. Unknown ships approaching fast." Daehyun ran to the cavern entrance and looked up through the crystal formations toward the surface. Guardian's bioluminescent patterns shifted to alert colors. "Pirates," Guardian said with certainty. "I can sense their intentions from here. They mean to take everything and leave nothing alive." The attack came without warning. 3 pirate vessels dropped out of hyperspace and began bombing the mining station. Admiral Vexer's fleet was still 2 days away. The small defense force at the colony was no match for the raiders. "Evacuate the research station," Commander Jiwon ordered over the radio. "All civilian personnel to the emergency shelters." But the pirates had done this before. They knew where the shelters were located and began targeting them directly. Explosions rocked the ground above the cavern. "They are killing innocents," Guardian said, its mental voice filled with anger. "This I cannot allow." The ancient creature began to move for the first time since awakening. Its massive body shifted, breaking away the remaining crystal formations. Biomechanical systems that had slept for eons roared to life. "Guardian, wait!" Daehyun called out. "If you surface now, everyone will see you. The Federation will never trust you after this." "Does that matter more than the lives being lost above us?" Daehyun realized the truth. Guardian was exactly what its name implied. It would always choose to protect, no matter the cost to itself. "Then I am coming with you," he said. Guardian's hull opened, revealing the habitat modules Dr. Minho had detected in the scans. Ancient corridors designed for organic crews millions of years ago. Daehyun climbed inside and Guardian sealed the entrance. "Hold tight," Guardian warned. The creature burst from the underground cavern like an erupting volcano. Rock and crystal exploded outward as the ancient Guardian emerged into daylight for the first time in eons. The pirates stopped their attack, staring in shock at the massive biomechanical giant rising from the planet's surface. Guardian was beautiful and terrifying. Its bio-armor gleamed in the sunlight, covered in glowing patterns that pulsed with energy. Weapon systems emerged from hidden ports, but these were not crude devices. They were precise instruments designed to protect rather than destroy. The lead pirate ship tried to flee, but Guardian's targeting systems locked onto it instantly. A beam of coherent energy disabled the vessel's engines without destroying the ship. The crew was neutralized, not killed. The second pirate ship opened fire with everything it had. Plasma cannons, missile launchers, and particle beams all struck. Guardian's hull. The ancient armor absorbed the impacts without taking significant damage. Guardian had been built to withstand weapons far more powerful than anything these raiders possessed. Guardian's response was swift and precise. It disabled the second ship's weapons and life support, leaving the crew helpless but alive. The third, pirate vessel surrendered immediately. Inside Guardian's habitat module, Daehyun watched through biomechanical sensors as the creature worked. Every action was calculated to minimize harm while protecting the colony. This was not a monster. This was exactly what Guardian was meant to be. "Colony vessels, this is Guardian," the ancient being broadcast on all frequencies. "The hostile ships have been neutralized. All civilians are safe." Commander Jiwon's voice came over the radio, filled with amazement. "Guardian, how did you learn to use our communication systems?" I am adaptive, Guardian replied simply. Protection requires understanding those I protect. News of the battle spread across Federation space within hours. The reports were incredible. An ancient bioweapon had emerged from a mining planet and defeated 3 pirate ships without killing a single enemy crew member. It had protected Federation citizens and then simply returned to guard the colony. The name Guardian began to carry weight across the galaxy. Pirates planning raids in the sector started changing course when they heard the name. Even hardened criminals felt a chill when someone mentioned the ancient protector that had awakened. But not everyone was pleased. Admiral Vexer accelerated his fleet's arrival. Federation Command was now convinced that Guardian was too dangerous to exist, regardless of its protective nature. Guardian, Daehyun said as they descended back into the cavern, I think our real fight is just beginning. Then we will face it together, Guardian replied. A Guardian is nothing without those it chooses to protect. And I choose to protect you, Daehyun, all of you. The ancient creature settled back into its cavern, but now it was no longer hidden. The galaxy knew Guardian existed, and that knowledge would change everything. Admiral Vexer's fleet arrived at Kepler 442b with enough firepower to glass an entire planet. 50 warships from 7 different Federation species surrounded the mining world. The Admiral stood on his command bridge, studying the scanner readings of the creature below. Sir, reported his tactical officer, the bioweapon appears to be dormant in the underground cavern. No hostile activity detected. It defeated 3 pirate vessels without taking damage, Vexer replied coldly. That thing is a threat to galactic stability. We end this now. On the planet's surface, Commander Ji-won received the ultimatum. The Federation fleet demanded immediate evacuation of all personnel. They would begin bombardment in 6 hours. Guardian, Daehyun called through the neural link. They are coming for you. I know, Guardian responded calmly. I can sense their fear from orbit. They believe destroying me will make them safer. Will you fight them? Guardian was quiet for a long moment. I was made to protect, not to wage war. But if they threaten those under my care, I will defend. Dr. Minho burst into the research lab where Daehyun and Ji-won were planning the evacuation. You need to see this, he said, pointing to his scanner. Guardian is changing again. Its biosignatures are off the charts. Deep in the cavern, Guardian's ancient systems were awakening capabilities that had slept since the old war. Weapon systems designed to fight entire fleets. Shield generators that could protect planets. And something else. Something that would terrify the Federation forces above. Daehyun, Guardian said, I want you and the others to evacuate with the colony ships. What happens next will be dangerous. No, Daehyun replied firmly. We stay together. That is what partners do. Partners? Yes. You are not just a weapon or a Guardian. You are our friend. Friends do not abandon each other. Guardian's bioluminescent patterns shifted to colors Daehyun had never seen before. The ancient being was experiencing emotions it had forgotten existed. Friendship, loyalty. The bond between equals rather than protector and protected. The first Federation attack came at dawn. Energy beams from orbit struck Guardian's cavern, trying to collapse it and bury the creature forever. But Guardian had reinforced the underground space with biometallic supports, stronger than any Federation material. When the bombardment failed, Admiral Vexer ordered a direct assault. 20 attack ships descended into the atmosphere, weapons armed and ready. Guardian emerged from the cavern to meet them. The ancient creature had changed. Its bioarmor now gleamed with defensive fields that bent light around its massive form. New weapon arrays had grown along its hull, but these were not the crude destructive tools the Federation expected. They were precision instruments of protection. All Federation vessels, Guardian broadcast, withdraw immediately. I have no wish to harm you, but I will defend this world and its people. Open fire, Admiral Vexer ordered. The Federation ships unleashed everything they had. Plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, and particle beam weapons all struck Guardian simultaneously. The creature staggered under the assault, its shields flaring with absorbed energy. But Guardian did not fall. Instead, it began to adapt. Its biosystems analyzed each weapon type and developed countermeasures. The creature's shield harmonics shifted to deflect energy weapons. Its armor restructured to absorb kinetic impacts. "Impossible," whispered Vexor's tactical officer. "It is learning from our attacks." Guardian's response was swift and surgical. Beams of coherent energy disabled ship engines without destroying hulls. Magnetic pulses scrambled weapon systems without killing crews. In minutes, half the attack force was helpless. But the real surprise came when Guardian's psychic emanations reached the Federation ships. The alien crews, already terrified of the ancient bioweapon, felt waves of primal fear wash over them. But this time the fear carried a message. Guardian was not broadcasting random terror. It was projecting the consequences of continued aggression. Through the psychic link, the alien crews experienced visions of what Guardian could become if pushed too far. They saw the creature as it had been during the Old War, when it had fought off entire invasion fleets to protect its charges. They felt the power that still slept within its biomechanical systems. One by one, the Federation ships began to retreat. "Do not run," Admiral Vexor commanded. "All ships focus fire on the creature's center mass." But something unexpected happened. The human ships in the Federation fleet refused to fire. Captain Hyejin, commanding the human destroyer Incheon, opened a channel to the Admiral. "Sir, we cannot comply with that order. Explain yourself, Captain. Guardian protected our colony. It saved human lives. We will not fire on our ally." Other human ships in the fleet echoed the sentiment. The creature that terrified alien species had become a symbol of hope for humanity. Guardian represented everything humans admired: the willingness to protect others, the refusal to surrender, and the power to make the impossible happen. "Mutiny," Vexor snarled. "All human vessels are under arrest." But Guardian had heard the exchange. The ancient creature's psychic emanations shifted again, this time reaching out to the human crews with feelings of gratitude and partnership. The bond between Guardian and humanity was becoming something the Federation had never seen before. Guardian began to move toward the orbital fleet, not to attack, but to place itself between the human ships and Admiral Vexor's remaining forces. "You want to fight," Guardian broadcast to the Admiral. "Then fight me. But you will not harm those under my protection." The creature's biosystems reached full combat readiness for the first time in millions of years. Ancient weapons that had once defended entire star systems came online. The space around Guardian shimmered with energy fields that could tear apart battleships. Admiral Vexor realized he was facing something far beyond his fleet's capabilities. This was not just a bioweapon. This was a Guardian that had found something worth protecting, and that made it more dangerous than any mere weapon. "All ships," he ordered reluctantly, "withdraw to safe distance." Guardian had won without destroying a single Federation vessel. But more importantly, it had learned something new about itself. It was not alone. The humans had chosen to stand with it even against their own Federation. The name Guardian now carried a new meaning across the galaxy. It was no longer just a title. It was a promise. 6 months had passed since Guardian's victory over Admiral Vexor's fleet. The ancient creature now floated in space above Kepler 442b, its massive form serving as both protector and beacon for the human colonies in the sector. Daehyun stood in Guardian's command center, a biomechanical chamber that had grown specifically for human occupation. Through the organic walls, he could see the stars and the small fleet of human ships that now traveled with Guardian. "The Zenthan Empire is mobilizing again," Captain Hyejin reported over the communication system. "Intelligence suggests they are planning another invasion of the outer colonies." "Let them come," Guardian's voice resonated through the chamber. "They will find us ready." Guardian had become something unprecedented in galactic history. The creature that once had no name was now the most famous being in known space. Its reputation had spread to every corner of the galaxy, carrying with it stories that grew more incredible with each telling. Pirates no longer raided systems where Guardian might appear. Slave traders avoided entire sectors rather than risk encountering the ancient protector. Even aggressive species like the Xanthan Empire reconsidered their expansion plans when they heard whispers of the creature that could disable entire fleets without firing a shot. Dr. Minho emerged from his research lab inside Guardian's hull. "The bioadaptation process is complete," he announced. "Guardian can now support human crews indefinitely. The habitat modules have been redesigned based on our needs." "How many humans can Guardian carry?" Daehyun asked. "Thousands, if necessary. But more importantly, Guardian has developed something new. Show him." Guardian's walls shifted, revealing chambers filled with smaller biomechanical forms. They looked like miniature versions of Guardian itself, each one the size of a fighter ship. "Guardians," the ancient creature explained. "I can create them now, extensions of myself that can protect multiple locations simultaneously. Each one carries part of my consciousness and my purpose." Daehyun stared in amazement. Guardian was not just growing stronger, it was becoming a force that could protect entire regions of space. "There is something else," Guardian continued. "I have been receiving signals from deep space, other ancient ones like me, awakening after hearing my name spread across the galaxy." "More creatures like you?" "Yes. The old war scattered us across the universe. Many were damaged, forgotten, buried like I was. But the name you gave me, it calls to them. They are remembering who they were meant to be." Commander Jiwon entered the chamber carrying urgent reports from Federation space. "Guardian, we have a problem. The Xanthan Empire has allied with 3 other aggressive species. They are calling themselves the Conquest Coalition. Their combined fleet numbers in the thousands." "And they are coming here?" Daehyun asked. "No," Jiwon replied grimly. "They are attacking Earth." The silence in the chamber was complete. Earth, humanity's homeworld, was under direct threat. Guardian's bioluminescent patterns shifted to deep red, colors that meant war. "How long until they reach Earth?" Guardian asked. 2 weeks at maximum warp. Then we have 2 weeks to stop them." Guardian began to move, its massive form accelerating toward hyperspace. But this was not the creature that had awakened confused and alone in the Crystal Cavern. This was a Guardian that had found its purpose and would not be denied. "Guardian," Daehyun said, "Earth has its own defenses. The Federation fleet will respond." "Will it be enough?" They all knew the answer. The Conquest Coalition outnumbered. Earth's defenses 10-1. The planet that had given birth to humanity was about to become a battlefield. "Then we make it enough," Guardian declared. The journey to Earth took 1 week at Guardian's maximum speed. During the trip, something extraordinary happened. Other ancient creatures began to appear, drawn by Guardian's call. First one, then 3. Then dozens of biomechanical giants emerged from hyperspace to join the fleet. Each one had its own story. Some had been sleeping on dead worlds. Others had been drifting in space for millions of years. But all of them remembered their purpose when they heard the name Guardian and felt the bonds it had formed with humanity. By the time they reached Earth, Guardian led a fleet of 50 ancient protectors, each one more powerful than a Federation battleship. The Conquest Coalition was already in Earth's solar system, their massive fleet preparing to bombard the planet. They stopped their attack when Guardian's fleet appeared. "Conquest Coalition forces," Guardian broadcast across all frequencies. "You will withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The Coalition commander, a Xanthan warlord named Krex, responded, with contempt. "One ancient relic and its followers cannot stand against our combined might. Surrender now and we will allow you to serve us." "I am Guardian," the ancient creature replied. "I protect those who cannot protect themselves. I am the name that drowns armies in fear. And you have threatened my friends." The battle that followed became legend. Guardian and its ancient allies did not simply fight the Coalition fleet. They demonstrated why the old war had ended with their kind as victors. Precision weapons disabled thousands of ships in minutes. Psychic emanations sent entire crews into paralyzing terror. Biomechanical systems adapted to every weapon the Coalition used, but most importantly, the ancient Guardians worked together, with perfect coordination, each one protecting the others while they accomplished their mission. The Conquest Coalition fleet was neutralized without a single ship being destroyed. Crews were left alive but helpless, their vessels disabled and their will to fight shattered. "This is impossible," Warlord Krex gasped over the communication channels. "How can ancient weapons show such mercy?" "Because we are not weapons," Guardian replied. "We are Guardians, and Guardians protect all life, even those who threaten us." Earth was saved. Humanity was safe. And across the galaxy, the name Guardian took on its final meaning. Years later, when young beings of any species heard stories of the ancient creature that had no name until a human gave it one, they learned about more than just battles and victories. They learned about the power of friendship, the importance of protection over destruction, and how a single act of kindness could change the entire galaxy. Guardian still patrols the stars, no longer alone but surrounded by both ancient allies and human friends. The creature that once forgot its own identity had become the most important protector in galactic history. And it all began when someone decided that even the most fearsome beings deserved a name, a purpose, and a friend. The beast had no name. The human gave it one. And that name became hope itself.